You know, as I'm sitting here and I'm about to record this, you can't help but be somewhat tempted by creating like some kind of a clickbait title for this video. Like, is this the end of all ships in Star Citizen? Are we never going to see another new ship? What's going on? You know, that sort of bullshit gimmick. But nah, what I'm going to do though is I am going to talk about something that is kind of, well, it's not really the elephant in the room. It's the missing elephant in the room. So what you're looking at is a screenshot of the latest edition of the roadmap. And you may note that ships and vehicles does not make another appearance in 4.0. Beyond that, of course, the schedule, as far as I see it right now, I've got on the second monitor, is currently blank. Now, what do we know? We know that this is the, planning week currently. That very soon that we are going to see a 4.1 and a 4.2 pop up on the roadmap in the next few weeks, probably. And, chances are the reason why ships like the Vulture, ships like the Hercules have dropped off of there is probably because they're not so sure. They're not so sure about those ships. I mean, the Vulture, without salvage, the Vulture is kind of obvious, right? We don't need another dead ship in the game. As much as I like that ship, we don't need another dead ship in the game. We have enough already. As for the Hercules, obviously they hadn't started it yet. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, when you're aiming for 4.0 with the Hercules originally, I think that was more of like a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that there was nothing to carry the ballista around in the universe, really. So, I mean, honestly, what am I thinking is going on right now? Well, obviously, they are working on the Prowler. They are making progress on the Prowler. The Prowler is going to be delivered. And so, chances are, that is going to continue. That is not going to change. The M50, still scheduled, but they might be working on it. Like I said, they're in planning week, so maybe they just aren't updating the schedule, or they haven't updated it in a little while in any serious way. And there are changes there, but maybe they just haven't found time to squeeze in what they're doing on the M50, if they're even continuing on it, and maybe they aren't. But I think it's safe to say that there's probably more than just like the one thing and whatever they're doing with the Carrack. The one Prowler and whatever they're doing with the Carrack going on in the background. There's obviously going to be flight-ready concept ships that they are currently working on that are going to continue as such. And I don't know, maybe they've got extra people working on those to kind of fill in the blanks until they sit back and say, you know what, here's where, we go, okay, no, now we want this ship, now we want that ship, and we want the Corsair too, obviously. That is probably what's going on. I mean, the flight ready concepts are probably carrying on, and there's probably more than a few people working on those, because those have kind of proven to be in the past big earners for them, and they know that is reflected in a very, in a very positive, or seen in a very positive way by the community. And so they probably want to continue on with that tradition. There's a part of me that doesn't like that so much, because I look at a lot of the ships that need to be finished, and I kind of wish that those would get priority over things that you haven't sold yet. But I get it, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get from their point of view, they want to keep the game alive, they want to keep funding it. This is a way to do it, so this is how they see things going. Fine, but I do find it somewhat irksome, and it makes me a little bit discontent when I see ships, some of which are years old, still not finished yet, whereas it's like, by the way, another mining ship. It's like, dude, really? There is that. I mean, I'm glad for the people who got the mole and who are enjoying it, which apparently they are, but at the same time, I still look at, things like the Crucible and things like even that horrible Crusader ship. What is it? The Airliner. I still think of people who bought that, and it's just like, and no one's thought of this ship? No one could squeeze this in, but we could do this. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you can see both sides, and so I'm kind of taking that line right down the middle with it. But yeah, it does bug me. Now, I feel that this would be a good opportunity to make some wild speculations. I like to make these little predictions. I mean, I like them even more when they come true. But I'd like to kind of look ahead and think, what do I see making it back onto the production pipeline? What do I see making it into the roadmap? What are the ships that I think that CIG is going to prioritize in getting out during 2020? What do I think are the all-stars, the ships that are really going to kind of take off in a literal and figurative sense over the next year? Number 1, Hercules Starlifter. I think that this ship is going to come back. I definitely do not think that you're going to see this in 4.0, but I think that this is going to be a ship that you're going to see pop back up on the roadmap. The reason for that is that it is technically kind of the biggest thing that you can get from Crusader Industries right now. And by completing this ship, they complete assets, tile sets, whatever you want to call them, that they can apply to the rest of the Crusader Industries line, as thin as it is. I think a fair argument could be made for the Star Runner returning and taking that spot, but I think that they're going to be more ambitious, and they're probably going to look to kind of almost get a twofer with this ship, building this ship, but then also building all the assets, which they can then apply to the other ships. The Genesis Starliner is, of course, it's not going to happen. It's never going to appear on the schedule because that ship needs almost a full ground-up redesign anyways to meet the new Crusader look, right? So I feel that between the Star Runner and the Starlifter, those are the two number 1 candidates, and I think that the Starlifter is going to be the way that they're going to go. Number 2, the Corsair. And the reason for that being is because the Corsair is going to be easy. Most of the assets they already have. They already know the Drake look. They know what Drake, feels like, what it's supposed to be. There's not a lot of discovery that's going to happen with this ship. There's nothing new or really gimmicky with the ship. Nothing that needs to be incorporated with an upcoming game system. A lot of this is, I think, fairly easy for them to do, and I think this, like other ships, could be a good test of how quickly can we get a ship from concept to finished when we have all these other assets that are already built for us. This is just a furtherance of that exercise, and so I think that the Corsair, because it really doesn't bring anything ultra new to the table, anything strikingly difficult to implement to the table, I think that this is going to be one of the routes that they're going to go. I think that we are going to see, if not flight ready by the end of this year, at least in full production and delivered by early next year at the latest. Another safe candidate is the Cutlass Blue. I think that one of the ships that you're going to see pop up on the pipeline is going to be the Cutlass Blue. This is something that coincides with the release of Prisons. I think it makes sense that these two things should come together. Obviously, having a proper, police ship for the police forces in the persistent universe would be a good thing. To have them not just using redressed Cutlass Blacks, but to have them using their proper ship, or at least one of their proper ships. I think that makes sense. So I think that the Cutlass Blue is going to be fairly certain that we're going to see that. Now, some people will say, well, there's some structural differences with the cockpit. It might take them a lot of time to kind of get that stuff finished, So maybe not. Well, not really. You see, it's already done. This picture is from Sandy Gardner's Twitter. This was a picture of Josh Coons working on the Cutlass Blue that was simply titled Cutlass Variant at the time. but we can tell which Cutlass it is. And this picture was from July 18th, 2017. So, Josh was pulled away. There wasn't enough luxury ships being put into Star Citizen, so they had to make sure that, there was just one more added to the pile, and that was the Constellation Phoenix. And so this has kind of sat in limbo ever since, but as you can see, it seems like a lot of the work has at least started. So I think that this would be particularly easy and low-hanging fruit for CIG to take on over the next year, with obvious knock-on applications with some of the content that we're going to see. Now, with the Hercules in production, it's entirely possible that they could go with another big ship. But what ship would they choose? Wait. What picture is that? What ship is that again? When did we sell that? Who makes it? What? Did we really? How much did we charge for it? Are exactly the questions that CIG would ask themselves if you ever showed them this image. So, no, not this year. Jokes aside, though, I know that was a little mean. I feel a little guilty now. But it was just so easy. I'm sorry, but I would love to say that there's probably going to be room for another big ship, but the truth is you got to remember that CIG still intends to hit that 2020 Squadron 42 beta date, right? That is still a thing that they are aiming to hit. And, they're probably going to use a lot of the resources out of the ship production pipeline to put final polish on the ships that we are certainly going to interact with in Squadron 42. That is probably going to eat up a significant amount of the ship production pipeline resources over the next year. So we may, who knows, Squadron 42 in 2020, at least the beta, we may see something like, the Idris, the Javelin, perhaps. Maybe get to run around inside of a Bengal. But I think that is going to be the extent of it. Those are, there may be other things that sneak in. There's obviously going to be flight-ready concepts. But I think that those are the big ones that I would expect to see over the next year. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.